Okay, so I'm back, and what I've done is I've gone through, just like I said, and I've got my V shape of my pattern piece down here, and then anything above that fold line, that roll line, was my self-facing, and then right at the tippy top of the self-facing edge, you can see a bit better if I turn it around, I've now overlocked that edge, anything that was above that roll line, because that's gonna stay open, and so I don't want this to fray. And if you don't have an overlocker, just use the zigzag stitch on your sewing machine, and that's gonna do just as good a job as overlocking will, and it's just gonna stop it from fraying, and it's gonna make sure that your dress lasts a really long time and that everything stays looking really fresh and nice. Now, the next thing I need to do, so let's just go over this again one more time, okay? There's the V shape of my pattern piece at the bottom. There is the taily end V that I stitched as the dart. There is the little V shape that I made a dart out of as well, okay? So I've got it up this way, and then down here I've got two little tabby ends that were the little cut-out shapes in the pattern. So let's go over this, all right here. So here is my full pattern piece that I originally cut out. There's the taily end that I sewed as a dart at this end. There's the little V shape at the top that I stitched as a dart, and then down the bottom is the V shape of that netting, that interfacing down the bottom, okay? And then at the very bottom of this one, the big one that everything's stitched to, I've got these little cutouts that I've left as tabs sticking out of my fabric, okay? So that's what we're talking about. That's the way up I've got it. So on this roll line, anything above this roll line, I'm now going to fold the other way. So I'm going to take this little point that's been made, and I'm going to push it in and fold everything back the other way, so that if I look at it now, with the nice side of the fabric showing, there's my point, and there's the V shape at the top that I sewed a dart into. There's the taily end, which was over here a minute ago because it was round the other way, and then down the bottom here I've got the V shape of the interfacing, and I've got the two little taily tab ends, okay? So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this thing in 4, okay, along that roll line. So I'm going to fold my self-facing. Do you remember we said self-facing was just stuff that got folded in on itself, for example on the neckline of a dress? So I'm going to fold it in, okay? Might give it a quick finger press maybe, just to get it creased down. If you've got netting or something that isn't kind of thick and papery, you might want to give it a bit of a steam. Okay, so I've now got this kind of weird shape here of fabric, all right? I'm just gonna put my finger in there and poke that out. There we go. Okay, I'm now gonna take it from the point that's been made here to this little circle that was down on the V shape of my interfacing. I'm going to fold it in half again that way. So we folded it that way, and now we're going to fold it that way. So we're literally folding it in 4. And the aim of this, if I turn it over again, is to get these little tabby bits that were at the bottom of my fabric. They're going to end up matching up. They're going to come together, okay? So let's do this again. Let's do this one more time so that you can see the inside of this, all right? So this is the self-facing, the above the roll line, away from the V shape at the bottom, okay? I've got a dart here, I've got a dart over here, okay? I'm going to fold it down. Here are my tabby bits at the bottom. I'm folding it down along that roll line. And then this tabby bit here is going to come over to meet this tabby bit here along this crease, okay? So I'm going to fold it. I'm going to match them up. and then I'm going to press that down, okay? And in a second we're going to do the other one, so it's okay. We're going to do it all again, so you get to see it again. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a pin in here so that it stays folded. There we go. And I'm going to put just maybe 1 or 2 more pins along that edge so that it stays folded. And this edge with the tabby bits here, this is the bit that's actually going to match up to the tabs on the bodice when you sew it onto the bottom of the bodice, so that it all looks really nice and stays and doesn't flop about on the front of the dress and ends up looking really lovely. Alright, here we go. Let's have a look at this motherfucker. That looks pretty good. Okay, and I'm going to continue my pinning. You can see where this is all folded in. I'm going to continue my pinning all the way along to the end until it meets that gathered edge that we did that's under here, okay? It's going to be really simple. I'm just going to pin that along so that it all stays exactly where I want it to stay. There we go. And what's going to happen when we tighten up this gather is that it's just going to pull this down, because you can see this is quite a wide triangle at the moment and it's quite a thin triangle at the back, but it's got shape to it, so this is going to make it stick out. It's going to make it sit really nicely on the front of the dress. And what we're going to do is we're going to tighten this gather up now so that it's the same length as this edge here that we folded into it. And we know that that's now exactly the right length, and it's all going to come and sit in the right place, and it's going to kind of get wedged in between these pins down here. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to take 2 pins out. I'm going to put this edge here, this short edge, down to meet that one. I'm going to wedge that in there. I'm going to re-pin that, so that's now got 3 layers of fabric on that little edge there. And I'm going to do this all again in a minute on the other side, so you'll be able to see everything I've just done all over again. I'm going to pin that in there, and then I'm going to find my little bit of cotton that I had sticking out of the edge of here from when I gathered this up. Where are you gone? There you are. And I'm going to pull on it until it's all gathered up to the same length as this side. There we go, that's better. That's much better. So it's all nice and gathered. And I'm going to tie a knot. There we go. Okay, so that is one side of my bow done. You can see there's a nice sort of gap where everything's tucked in down here. It's going to sit really nicely on the front of my dress. So this is going to end up being the left side of my bow on the front of my dress. It's got shape at the back, so it's going to sit really nicely on the dress. It's going to sit nice and proud. Well, if you look down in there, there's even room for a few sweeties. So there you go. That's not bad, is it?